Well, I've got such a marvellous story to start with, okay?
Okay.
You are going to love this, and you're going to laugh at me a lot, and I laughed at myself a lot.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business in Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Here she jolly well comes. Can I hear her? No, I can't. Still can't hear her. What's going on then? Have I got the volume turned down? No?
Can you hear me, darling?
I can. You've arrived.
Yes, I have. Je suis ici.
Eh?
Je suis ici. I am here.
Yes, okay.
I'm on fire. I've got so much to tell you this week. I'm so excited. Just warning here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's wonderful.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been glorious weather here, of course.
Good.
And dropped the kids off on Thursday. Picked Sarah up. I don't know if that was the week before last or the week last week. I'm losing the plot a bit on this one.
Yeah, I think we spoke. You and I recorded on Wednesday last week, and I think the swap was on Thursday, and that's why we did Wednesday, if you remember.
Yes, that is correct. Yes. So the swap went very satisfactorily. I dropped the kids off, had a little boo accidentally, and then walked around and picked up Sarah. Drove her back along the new bypass, which she was very impressed with, and it's all been good since then. We've had a lovely time going down the beach as much as possible, and it's all just been like it used to be.
Yeah, and do we know how long she's staying yet?
No, she's here at the moment, but she likes to listen in when I'm here. So
indeed.
So no, she hasn't decided yet, but at least a month.
Okay. Any other news apart from children going and sister coming?
Not really in this section. I went to the first meeting of Write Club, except we didn't write anything. We just ate nibbles and talked and caught up. We've got quite a lot of authors visiting the Marnie in the next sort of few months, so we're going to invite them to our Write Club. And the other thing is we are playing with the idea of having a Write Club podcast. Ooh. So as well as our normal fortnightly meetings, we'll get together once a month and talk about the whole process of writing and how we're getting on and what we're struggling with and what's helping, because quite a lot of the...
You said monthly, did you, for that?
Yeah, well, yes, but that's not often enough for a podcast, so I need to, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to commit to the whole editing a weekly podcast thing. In fact, I think we should do it on Zoom if we're going to do it at all, because it would be a lot easier than getting them together in person. So, yeah, more to be discussed on that. But we did a little bit of research yesterday, and apparently there aren't that many podcasts about the process of writing. So, that might be a niche.
Yeah.
I'm not keen to take on any extra work I have to do.
No, I'm not surprised, actually. It's hard going, isn't it?
Well, it is when you're trying to focus on getting a life, and I'm finding that all this going down the beach and lying on sunbeds and swimming in the sea interferes quite a lot with work. So you can't have it both. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
No, and actually, that's good job we're talking about authors, because I'm going to talk about being an author all day long today.
Oh, how exciting! Okay, cool. So what's your week been like then?
Well, I've got such a marvellous story to start with. Okay. You are going to love this, and you're going to laugh at me a lot, and I laughed at myself a lot. You'll remember that I told you last week, which was my first week back from my holiday, that during the holidays I'd had a psychic reading with Isabel Gatherer. And for the second year running, she had promised me a boyfriend that I don't want. You remember that?
Yes.
And she described him quite carefully. And she also said, he's still coming. She said, oh, there's a boyfriend coming in for you. There's a boyfriend coming in. And she said, oh, but not for you, but for my friend. And but she said, but yours is still coming. I said, yeah, and I still don't want him. Anyway, so me and my friend have been promised.
Diverted to another friend.
Well, quite. Me and my friend have been offered 2 boyfriends, and I have quite a close physical description of mine.
Yeah.
And my friend's been agitating, and she's been saying, how are we going to meet these boyfriends? And I said, look, if they're supposed to happen, they'll just turn up and ring on the doorbell.
Oh, good God.
Yesterday, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to the man matching the physical description. And I said, oh, hello, how nice to see you again, because I had seen him once before. I'll tell you in the end. I'm not spoiling the punchline too. Okay. So I said, oh, hello. And he said, oh, fancy you recognising me or something like that. And he said, have you got a piano? And I said, no, but I wish I did have a piano. And then I told him that I'm an inveterate clutter clearer, but the only thing I haven't cleared out in the last 50 years is my piano music from school, and that I keep it. It's currently being stored in my brother's roof, and that I keep it because I'm absolutely sure that one day I'm going to get a piano again, and I will want to start playing again with the tunes that I will remember from my childhood and which I know are still in my cellular memory, and they will give me an early start. And anyway, we're standing at the front door, and I'm looking at my most gorgeous Nicola, in as much as my hair is dirty and I don't have a bra on.
Nice.
And I will tell you that all of the most romantic moments in my life have happened with the equivalent. You know, you look like shit, you've had a car accident, or you're in the Safeway's car park. You're not all dolled up for going out. Basically.
Any girl knows you meet your dream man when you haven't shaved your legs.
Well, you look like the back end of a bus. Yes, actually. So we're standing on the doorstep, chatting about music, and then he goes, have you heard Chopin's? She said, do you like Chopin? Oh God, I love Chopin. He goes, have you heard Chopin's number 2 played by Claudio Arrau? And I go, no, I haven't, but I go straight upstairs and turn on YouTube and have a look at it. Anyway, we're standing out there for hours on end talking about music and classical music and our shared love of classical music, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the man. But of course, he is the man from Ocado. He's wearing a high-vis vest, which wasn't in the description. And he is also wearing a wedding ring, which wasn't in the description. And I went later, Ocado send you this note to say, later, so-and-so, actually, no, they send you
feedback on the delivery man.
They send you, wait a minute, they send you an email in advance telling you, it's from your driver. It says, hello, I'll be with you later, and I'll be in the rhubarb-shaped van, and my name is Chris. Well, my client, Chris, who spat out his tea when I said on the podcast a few weeks ago that I thought he was a girl because he spelt his name K-R-I-S, will be pleased to hear that this man spells his name C-R-I-S without an H. I don't think I could ever date a man that can't spell his own name.
No.
But anyway, I was right. You know, I opened the door and there was a very, very handsome man with shared interests standing at it.
Well, and why did he open the conversation rather than here's your shopping with have you got a piano?
Well, it was obvious here was my shopping because there he was with the 2 red crates and the high-vis vest. I have no idea why after I went, oh, hello, and he was pleasantly surprised that I remembered him. I have no idea why his next question was, do you have a piano? It was. That's all I can tell you.
Well, that's a very surreal experience.
Yeah, but what a marvelous story, isn't it?
Yes, and it's not so much about his way of making a living, you object to. It's the fact that he's a teensy bit modern. It's his mother, isn't it, that did that?
I have no objection to the way he earns his living, because it isn't the way he earns his living. It's just one of the things he does in a portfolio career, and we all do that these days, don't we? In fact, if anything, I admire him for that.
Yes, and me.
But, you know, Roald Dahl couldn't spell his own name either. And I've got this thing about people that can't spell their own names. There's lots of pop stars on the X Factor that can't spell their own name. And my niece and I laugh every week because it's like, what's their worst crime? Oh, they can't spell their own name. But you know, very, very handsome, classical music. Oh, I hope he delivers next week. In fact, I hope he's gone back to the factory and said, make sure I'm on that delivery every week.
Yeah, we did have a lovely delivery man. Was it the bloke who used to deliver the fresh veg? It was, wasn't it? He was gorgeous.
Well, this wasn't just gorgeous. He was gorgeous because of what his interests are. Same as mine, classical music. Marvellous.
Yeah, nice. It's all about what goes on between your ears. And moving swiftly on to the fact that you have to, if you are looking for a boyfriend and you are making a list of the required requisites for a boyfriend, do not overlook the obvious, like unmarried, because the universe.
Could I just reiterate? I am not looking for a boyfriend.
I know that. But should anyone out there be listening and think, oh, this is the way to do it, do not I have overlooked some very obvious things.
You're absolutely right. This is what one of my woo-woo gurus, Steve, what's his name? Stuart Pearce would say, that's imprecise manifesting, Judith.
Yes, absolutely. And you really get caught up by it.
Yes and no, Nicola. I mean, who's to say this man isn't the man? The fact that people come in all apparent guises and disguises. Anyway, it doesn't matter, does it?
The point is a bit like, that thing about ideas. Was it in the book, the book that was written by Elizabeth Gilbert, where she says there's lots and lots of ideas floating about, just waiting for an entrepreneur to reach out and grab one of them and make it their own. But the idea will float on to another entrepreneur if the first one.
They're all in divine escrow, and the first one to download it makes it theirs. Yes,
it might be like that with men or women.
Well, whatever. I've got more news in this section if you'd like to hear it.
God, go on then, I'm ready for more.
I've begun my relationship with something called Grammarly. Do you know Grammarly?
No, I don't, but I did notice you mentioned it.
OMG, Nicola. Grammarly, and if I were not as confident a person as I am, the evil combination of Grammarly, with whom I've been debating commas all week, and Word, I would have just abandoned the project on about Tuesday, frankly. But one good thing that's come out of it is that they've obliged me to realise between them, not Grammarly actually, but Word. Word is really quite stricty pants. Word told me that I'd overused the word actually and the word indeed, and that I should review my use of adjectives, exaggeration and emphasis. And I had 26 actuallys I've been able to reduce to 5, and 12 indeeds I've been able to reduce to 2. So that's quite good fun.
So what is that a function in the Word program itself then?
Oh, well, yes. When you go to review grammar and spelling, it highlights anything it wants you to think about. And actually, Grammarly wasn't bothered about actuallys and indeeds or so's, but because Word wants you to put a comma after all of those, actually, comma, indeed, comma, so, comma, and you don't always want a comma after so, actually. You can just see how many you've got. And Grammarly, Word, I think, would have me take out all adjectives and all repetitions. So if you want to say something like really, really, for emphasis, it doesn't want you to do that. One really is enough, Judith. It's quite sort of stricty pants, really.
I thought of you debating with the software program.
Well, I debate commas. I'll debate commas till kingdom come, but it's very useful because the extension of Grammarly goes to everything you do online and off.
Oh, okay.
There's no hunting for typos and no having to copy and paste it into Word to use the review function. Wherever you are, it offers you a red underline and you can review it there and then bang.
Oh, and is this a paid thing, Grammarly?
No, it starts off free. If you want the without a word of a lie, if you want the 964 improvements over and above the free ones that it would recommend for my book, and frankly, I don't want another 964. No. There's a paid version. I haven't investigated what it costs. I don't think it's cheap, 100 and something a year, maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
I think I'll go there. I haven't got time to go there before the book, because if I went there before the book, I'd never bloody publish a book.
No, quite. 900.
Another 964 recommendations. Are you having a laugh?
Yeah, quite.
Anyway, let's talk about fire. You tell me about fueling yours.
Well, I'm on week 2, about to go into week 3 of my 12-week challenge with Kate.
Yeah.
It was a little delayed because she came out to Stu for a week and we just hung out really and didn't do anything. But her results in week 1 are that she's absolutely thrilled with everything. She had 16,000 views on her first video, which has cost her no more than £5 a day. And she has had 2 old clients that she thought had disappeared into the ether forever, 2 old prospects, sorry. Old in that they had their sessions weeks ago, if not months ago, and that she thought she'd never...
You mean former?
No,
former.
No, they're not former at all. They're prospects. So,
you said old clients.
Yeah, I meant prospects, where they come for their strategy session and disappeared and never contacted her again.
Yes, lovely.
And so she had 2 of those get in touch. She's had a university get in touch asking her to go and speak to them. That was all in week 1, just from promoting a piece of content and boosting it using Facebook ads. And then in week 2, she has had 9.6 thousand views on that particular video. And she says she's had 1 invitation to speak, 1 invitation to guest lecture, and 1 invitation to guest present at a local company.
Just by being visible, people are reminded how great she is and they want more of her.
Absolutely, yes. And we haven't even, and we just started the ad this week for a free offer, which is being offered to people who visited her website, interacted with her page in any way, or watched any of her videos through 50% or more. So, very, very specific audience are now being offered her free download, and she's got leads pouring through at the rate at which she can afford them, which is, again, another £5 a day. So as her leads are costing her £1.20 each, she can only ever have 3 unless she ups her budget. But, hopefully it will get less expensive per lead as it goes. But the point is, she's now got traffic, authority, because all her peers are thinking, oh my God, she'd have 15,000 views on that video, or 16,000 views on that video, whatever it is. And she's getting invitations to speak even before we get to the point where 100 people have seen her sales page and may or may not buy her course. So it's really fueling my fire, because it proves that the system works and it can work for anyone if they've got good content. Yeah. What about you then?
Lots of exciting things for the book, and more about book in the word of the week, and more about book in project updates. In fact, I'm going to talk about the book all day. But I did 3 exciting things yesterday, and I've got a 4th realisation. The first exciting thing I did yesterday was I bought my first ever ISBN number.
Oh, very nice.
That was exciting. I was quite tempted by a bunch of 10. You get 1 for 89 or 10 for 149. And since I'm going to do this book annually, I nearly bought 10, but I thought, no, let's focus on the one in front of us.
Yes, exactly.
And then I spoke. Do you remember me telling you, I told you about this in July, that I'd had a contact from an email, apropos of nothing at all, from a woman in America saying, would I like to be a partner, which basically means an affiliate, and a what do you call them, an influencer in the use of their quiz software, which they would give me free for life, and an affiliate link, and they'd show me how to use it, and all I had to do was use it and write it up on a couple of blog posts. And I said, I can't think about this now, I'm writing a book, contact me in the first week of September. But it never went out of my mind, and she didn't contact me in the first week of September. So I sent her a message saying, oi, is this still on? And I got a message back from somebody else that said, oh, she's left, but let's talk. And we spoke yesterday afternoon, and that's exciting. And I'm going to tell you about the other thing first so I can draw them together. I then spoke to Lisa, who's the lady that lives on the barge that did the podcast with you in August. Yes. Because Lisa has a business called Think Cards, which are the conversation starters, if you remember. Yeah. And I messaged her last week to say, I'm thinking I'd like a box of Think Cards, which she does for authors, to go with my book as the companion piece for my book, because my book's 52 questions. And this seems like a good idea. What do you think? She says, I think it's a brilliant idea. And she gave me a session yesterday, and she's come up with a very thrilling proposal for me, which will mean I will be fulfilled by Amazon, which is quite exciting. And the interesting thing about the quiz and Lisa's cards is it's exactly the opposite of the book, because in the book, the reader's asking me questions and I'm answering them. And in the cards and the quiz, I will be asking the reader questions and getting them to think about issues to do with their business. But that's a nice yin and yang, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So you'll have your own cards, is what you're saying.
I will. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Isn't that lovely? I will have my own cards. I've always wanted that secretly and never really thought about it, but I just had a genius idea and contacted her. Now, before we go on, and
take a breath, love. That's what you would.
Yeah, well, and 2 things about Facebook. Since I've been focusing on my page, my insights are very exciting. Things like my reach is up by 76% and my engagements by 115%. And, well, we won't go to the videos because it's just surreal. My page views by 61%. And they want to give me, there's a question here I need to ask you. What's a page preview?
I don't know.
Well, they're up by 83%. Presumably people on mobile can look at your page without viewing your page. They can preview your page before they decide to have a look or something.
Perhaps it's where it's being shown on the right-hand side. So I'm looking at Kate's page right now, the presenter coach, and on the right-hand side, I'm having other pages previewed to me that I might like.
What? But you haven't clicked on any of them, so how would they know that they're previewing, that people are previewing mine?
Because it would show, because it's dictated by Facebook whether your page gets shown on that preview section over on the right hand side, and the fact that you've got increased engagement and things would mean that Facebook is starting to think, oh, your page might be of interest to people now. It's all
right. And all I've done is put my focus there instead of on my profile, and so that's exciting. But more importantly than that, in view of the Facebook focus that I've got on my page, which I've just barely scratched the surface of yet. Of course, this is the reason I've been looking for forever to get a smartphone.
Oh, my word. I never thought I'd hear the words.
Because people are going to be contacting me via Messenger and encouraged to do that.
Yes.
Quite.
And everything's going to be done on a smartphone.
So there's Lisa, the quiz lady, the ISBN number, the Facebook insights, and the reason to get a smartphone in What's Fueled My Fire.
Well, you just left me aghast and agog.
Oh, Nicola, I barely started, okay? Barely started. You wait till I tell you what else is going on. Right.
Here at Own It, we personally believe that leaders are readers. But sometimes it's just not convenient to read and you'd rather listen instead. For listeners of Own It the podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. A couple of titles we've picked out for you particularly are Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg or Crush It, Why Now is the Time to Cash In on Your Passion by Gary Vaynerchuk. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/own it. Again, that's audibletrial.com/own it for your free audiobook. You can pick one of the ones I've chosen for you, or you can choose something else. Enjoy your listen.
Hit me with a client challenge of the week if you think you dare.
I don't think I dare not. Oh my God. Okay, so there's. I'd like to roll three things in together because these are the three themes of the week. Okay.
Yeah.
First one is confidence. Now, that's been fueled by Sarah doing something that was so far out of her comfort zone, it was unreal. And she got through it, even though she thought at one point, an hour before, she was actually like ready to cry and be sick because she didn't want to do it so bad.
Was that a nice date?
It wasn't a date, but it was something similar.
Okay.
And it was really, 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 really scary. But I gave her support and I was there, largely asleep in the background. But she did it anyway, and I was really impressed with that. But the other thing is, obviously, Phoebe's going through a crisis of confidence at the moment. So confidence is one of the things. And it just astonishes me how few people have confidence in themselves and what they can do about it. The second one is belief that you are going to succeed, because without that belief, how can you move forward? And, there's been quite a lot of talk about that this week. But the main one that I ran past you to talk about this week was the phenomena I'm seeing in my new clients in my Clicks and Leads Academy is how they write these great long to-do lists as a way of, it's brilliant that they're doing it because they're getting it out of their head and into the public domain, if you like, and getting themselves organised and thinking about what they should do next. But all of their things on those to-do lists, 99% of them are not things that are going to move them forward in terms of creating an audience, building a following, getting opt-ins, getting people to their sales page, that they haven't been created yet. But the point is that they're doing all the wrong things. And I wanted to talk to you about how you must have had a great long to-do list with writing this book. How did you decide which things were important and which things were merely felt urgent and which things were busy work that will procrastinate you away from what you needed to do?
Can I come back to that and first of all share. I don't know how to turn this off because I've got Facebook open because I want to read you something from it later.
Okay.
Making those annoying beeping noises.
Don't mind. If you want to stop and turn them down, you can go to...
I don't... no, let's worry. People don't normally beat me this often. Let's keep going. Okay. I want to come back to the actual question about how I do it in a minute. And first of all, share that in my Club 100, people, well, all of my clients do that thing about the massive to-do lists. Okay. Yeah. And there is a strategy for this that I can look up on Google and find it and share it in the thing. And I've forgotten what it is, but we'll come back to that. Even though I tell my clients in Club 100 who are with me for a year that the Monday check-in requires you to pick 2 tiny things that you will do this week to move your business forward, they will ignore that instruction and send me these massive long lists. Yeah. And I point out often and as kindly as I can, you know, that because next week they have to come back and tell me what they've done. And of course, if you have a massive long list, you haven't done most of it, have you?
No, you failed.
No, and we have this word in that group, which is dones. Oh, look at your dones, aren't they great? But people find, they ignore me because they find the massive great to-do list mind clearing, as you say. It's helpful for them to write it all down because it creates space in their brains. So I allow it, and I let my clients decide their own tactics for themselves. But I often say that's a great long list. Wouldn't you be better off just picking 1 or 2? Because I think that is the right way to go. But I don't think it's our job necessarily to impose our view on the world as right, rather to help them to find a better version themselves. Now, how did I do it for the book? Not in a spectacularly well-organised way. Oh, yes, I did. I'll tell you what I did. One, studied Scrivener, which was largely a waste of time. 2, spent all of August on writing the words. And even for me, that wasn't enough time. So we're halfway through September, and I've got 1 more piece of writing to write for the core content. And it's only since I got towards the end of creating the core content have I allowed myself to get excited about photo shoots, cards, quizzes, cover design, You know, so one thing at a time, sweet Jesus. What's the important thing here? Write the bloody book. So my major focus was prep for writing the book, then writing the book. And only after that did I let myself go mad with, you know, all the fun bits. Well, not the fun bits, actually. They're the important bits because, as you know, I always say writing a book's the easy bit. But I do write notes in my notebook as I have a thought. I only have 1 notebook and I've got them all in there. And at some point, I'll review them to make sure that they're important or not. And there's a famous man I want to write the foreword, and I've PM'd him. He hasn't replied. I haven't told him what I want him to do yet. He just hasn't replied, and I know why he hasn't replied, because he's going through a major life change himself. But every time I look at that message in my messages in Facebook Messenger or whatever it is on the left-hand side, every day I go, wouldn't it be wonderful if X wrote my foreword? And I just, like the man in the front door, I just go, if he's supposed to write the foreword, he'll show up in time. I don't need my foreword yet. In fact, it's the last thing I need. So my system is to try and do things approximately in the order that they need to be done, and to trust that everything else that is important will get done at the right time later on.
Yeah, I know. I like to see clients writing up the lists of the things they think they need to do, and because it helps me see where their head's at, and it helps me see if they're focusing on the right things. But sometimes I just have to step up and go, you know, none of this is going to make you any money. And
I know you and I both have the potential to be a little bit brutal like that and a little bit impatient.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my clients hire me for my ability to be.
Well, in a way, yeah, in a woo-woo sense, you're right. I mean, you know, from my version of that would be, you know, if you're in my life for a reason, and I too am quite stricty pants at times.
Yeah, yeah, and the confidence thing's an interesting one. I was trying to do a V-zine about confidence and say, okay, so what do you do if you don't feel confident? Because, you and I are quite confident types, aren't we? Even when we could be absolutely 100% wrong, we're still confident in our ability to turn it around somehow.
I've written that in tomorrow's newsletter. If I was any less overconfident, I mean, Grammarly and Word have taught me that I'm overconfident. It's humbling, actually. But if I didn't have confidence in myself and belief in this project, Grammarly would have stopped me in my tracks. Honestly, Nicola, it would have stopped any number of my clients in their tracks, because it's like, oh, I thought I could write, but I'm shit then. Sorry, there's a couple of rude words in this week's episode. But yeah, confidence and belief. Well, I had to do, as you'll hear later, I had to do something yesterday that I wasn't confident about. And it was scary, but the book was so important to me, I did it anyway. I think that's the thing. Keep your eyes on the prize. If it's important, if it's important to you, you'll find a way, won't you?
I mean, there's a thing that one of my favourite mentors says all the time, that is, what's the alternative? When you're whinging about not having any confidence to do something, what's the alternative? Carry on as you are is the alternative.
Yes.
It might get worse.
And also, the desire to do the thing wouldn't have arisen anyway if you weren't supposed to do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Say some more about that.
Well, you can't tell us the specifics of your example, so I need an example to work with. So let me tell you my example. I was going to give it to you in project updates, but I filled out a form on a website called Reedsy, REEDSY, to hire somebody to do the publicity for the book for me.
Okay.
And I thought I would be able to just sniff around and get a quote based on information that they asked me, but it came to the point where I had to upload a copy of the book, otherwise I couldn't submit the form. Oh, holy moly, I'm so not ready to A, show my book to a stranger, and B, a professional stranger who does publicity for authors for a living. But I'm so, that wouldn't have arisen. And if I wasn't so highly, I did it, basically. I did it. I was brave. I just went, Marion's expression, what would a brave woman do?
Yeah,
well, this brave woman uploaded the book and put a qualifier on it and called it specifically for her eyes only and sent it off.
I'm interested to know that you didn't feel confident to do that.
Well, because I'm not ready. I'm not ready. It's not finished. It's not ready. It's not perfect. I didn't think I would have to do that. I wasn't ready. It's like, oh my God, when people offer you, they say like, come on then. I go, oh, I'm not ready. You're not ready. I wasn't ready when I opened the door yesterday morning. You're not ready all the time, are you? I prefer to do things from a sort of balanced, well thought out, psyched up place.
Okay, all right. Whereas I'm constantly caught in the not ready situations.
Yes, you're permanently not ready, but it hasn't held you back.
No, exactly. Because I'm overconfident, you see.
Because you're overconfident, you are. Oh dear.
I know. So, and where does confidence come from? It comes from achievement, doesn't it? I mean, there's a thing that
comes from doing. Yeah, it comes from doing.
It only comes from doing. And there's that thing about making a list of all the things you do when you get up in the morning, from opening your eyes to making the bed, cleaning your teeth, all that stuff. And when you realise how much you actually achieve without even thinking about it, it could give you a little bit more confidence to do one more thing that you don't do automatically, you don't do without thinking. And so I think it's really important that you do. I mean, there's a horrible expression, feel the fear and do it anyway. But sometimes you just have to, don't you? Sometimes I actually get myself in situations where I think, oh, I'm scared now, and I have to just do it, whatever it is.
I don't think that's a horrible expression. It's my favourite one. It's one of my earliest and still one of my favourite personal development books 20 years on. I think that's the only way. It's through it. And yes, it comes from doing. Now, because I know my clients quite well, because we have an hour-long induction in which they share the secrets of their soul with me. It's interesting that the questions always come in from incredibly able people. So they're incredibly able in all areas of their lives, and yet they are still, in some areas, a bit like me with the book yesterday, underconfident. It is possible to be both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in fact, I think most people would be amazed if they knew how unconfident most successful people feel on a regular basis. But somehow they've got...
Well, because we're all little girls inside, little girls and little boys inside, but our outside persona is whatever the world perceives us to be. The leader of Virgin Atlantic, or a couple of female podcasters. We have two lives, don't we? We have our professional life and the little girl inside.
Yeah, I mean, Kate was saying, every time I'm saying to her, right, there's a new bit of content going out now, she goes, literally, she sends back one word, which is puke, because she's terrified of what her peers are going to say about her.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. She broadcasts on the BBC, isn't she?
She's on the she's been on the BBC. She's run national radio stations, so she really is really capable. Yeah, able, as you say. And okay. So what about the thing about the belief? Because I always get confused about what I've said on the V-Zine and what I've said on the podcast. I was watching Steve Bartlett the other day, and he was saying about how you can't hold a gun to someone's head and make them change their beliefs. So if he held a gun to your head and said to you, believe in the god Zeus, you might say you believe in it just to escape the bullet, but you can't actually change your belief. So what if you've got a belief, I don't know about you, but I've always had a belief that I will be successful one day at something, even though I didn't know what it was or how I was going to do it. What if you haven't got that belief? What if you, how would you go about advising a client who really wants to do something but doesn't really believe they can yet?
Well, first of all, when they say it to me in the context of my relationship with them, I know it's absolute rubbish. But I don't say, oh my God, that's absolute rubbish.
Oh, I might.
I've got two, yes, quite. I've got two strategies. One is you chip away at it a bit at a time, depending on how robust the psyche of the client is.
Yeah.
And the second one is, and I've written about the second one in the book, which is, I go, or you could just change your mind about that.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Well, because you've got to examine your beliefs. And are they, well, you know what Byron Katie would say, is that true?
Yeah.
That's the first question. And the second question is, depending on what you answer to the first one, is it absolutely true?
Yeah.
And the answer to both questions actually is no. And these unhelpful beliefs crumble to dust under that scrutiny.
Yeah. I remember the whole belief stuff was a real cornerstone of our early coaching training, wasn't it?
Well, a belief isn't a truth. It's something you've sucked up at some point.
Yeah. Accidentally hoovered up, possibly from someone else.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, upbringing and, stuff you haven't examined.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what's the alternative? Because if you don't, okay, I mean, it's a bit of a conversation killer and one that a coach probably shouldn't use. But
I quite like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
Writing it down. Yeah.
Well, it puts it right back onto the person, doesn't it? Okay, so you can waffle on about your lack of confidence and your negative beliefs until you're blue in the face, but if you want something to happen, I mean, it's like I can't download my belief and confidence into you. I can only give you tactics and tools, perhaps, to help you edge past those negative beliefs and the lack of confidence. But confidence comes from doing, definitely. So that's that one. And belief, I like that. Is that true? Yeah, you could change your mind.
Is that true? Is that absolutely true?
Yeah.
And that comes from a book by Byron Katie called The Work, and I've seen her do that on stage, and it's absolutely brutal. I can't leave home. I can't leave home and get a girlfriend because my mother wouldn't let me. Is that true? Well, no. It's just something you've made up to keep you safe or whatever it is. I mean, I've seen her do this on stage with people, and if they make a good case for is that true, she goes, is that absolutely true? No, nothing is absolutely true when examined under a spotlight, apart from, I don't know. I don't think it's even true, is it, that today is the 14th of September? Absolutely true that today is the 14th of September, only in the sense that we've all agreed to operate on the same calendar for convenience. Do you know what I mean?
You're in Australia, in which case you're possibly into the 50s.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But that was a 2-point question. I can't remember the second point now.
Confidence, belief, and big to-do lists. So we have.
No, you said something. You just said something else, and in that last mini question, I can't remember what it was now. But never mind.
So big.
Oh yes, I know. Is that true? The thing about chipping away. The thing about, or you could just change your mind.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I like that one. So you give me that one today, and then the final. I mean, big to-do lists are a way of prevaricating to stop one getting to the place where one has to take action. that one doesn't have the confidence in or the belief that one can do it. So
I don't necessarily agree with you there. Okay. I think that most people, if they are also parents and they have something else going on. So let's say I've got a client who's got a day job, got an elderly parent, and is writing a book, which is her dream project that I'm working on with her. They've got busy lives, and some of it can't be not done because it's about keeping other people alive.
Yeah. I did used to have, in my Stephen Covey days, I know you said I wasn't to mention it.
No, you can mention him. It's just.
I loved his planner. The planner, yeah. I lived by his. I had a big, one of those big filer faxes.
Yes.
And actually, I think they are jolly useful. In fact, there's quite a lot of books around now that are coming out that are sort of like that. Where
I was just going to say that all these journals, these real world journals that women are writing all of their stuff to do down in planners, 90-day planners, fitness journals, yoga journals, goals, life goals. I mean, they're all the rage on these crowdfunding sites as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And in fact, there's someone, I can't remember who it is now, but there's someone working on one. John Lee Dumas did one, and there's someone else working on one at the moment.
Do you want to know my guilty secret?
Go on then.
I love stationery, but I've got no use for those books whatsoever.
Yeah, you don't. It's a shame, isn't it? Because you're missing out on a whole genre of
stuff. I know, they're so beautiful, aren't they? I kind of want to own one and write in one, but I haven't got anything to write in them.
You know what? I'd have to get I'm such a perfectionist, I'd have to get a proper pen, and my handwriting would have to be gorgeous in that. And if I made a mistake, I'd be really upset with myself. So that's why
mostly we use pencil. Yeah, mostly we use pencil in those gorgeous books. And I do have a proper pen, but my handwriting has disappeared to nothing because I don't use it. And my signature, I wouldn't even recognise my own, quite frankly.
So I'll tell you what the interesting thing about learning Greek is that she says to me, go and write all this down and do, I have to do lines and things you're not used to have to do, cats out on the mat sort of thing. But she says what you're doing is you're developing your Greek handwriting because you have to do all these funny little squiggly symbols and things. And apparently after a while you do the same way. So that's your handwriting.
Do you say I haven't even got any British handwriting anymore?
Yeah, I'll have to say that next time. It's funny, this week I turned up on Tuesday and she said, no, it's Friday. So I got the wrong day and I'd done all my homework like a girly swat, and I was really looking forward to saying that to her, but now I've got to go back and
Bless. So Nicola, do you see all these things as interconnected, confidence, belief and big to-do lists?
I didn't until I started to talk about them. I realised I couldn't just talk about the big to-do list because behind that is the confidence and the belief issues.
Okay.
And it all rolls together. It's just been the theme of the week, those three things, really.
Okay.
But yeah, I do like to see people doing to-do lists. I think people who do to-do lists once a week of what they think they need to do make it so much easier to work with them because I can see what's in their head and I can correct if there's an incorrect assumption or whatever in there. But the other thing is that it does get it all out of your head. It gives you a weekly accounting, and I'm not the kind of coach who goes chasing after people, although I'm getting better at it. But I like to see people taking responsibility for their own success in the form of coming into the site and writing down their weekly to-do lists. Or if they tell me they've done it in their journal, for example, and then they ask me a question about it, I know they're actually doing it. And I think in the early days particularly, I mean, I don't do it so much anymore, but in the early days particularly, it's such a valuable tool to clear your head and give yourself a focus for the week, and then you can review the week and see what worked and what didn't. I think those are very valuable tools.
I agree, and I offer it to all my clients in Club 100, and some of them do it, and some of them don't, and some of them do it all the time, and some of them send it to me privately because they don't want everybody else reading it. And if you do it, it works better than if you don't.
Yeah, totally. So what's the thing about not wanting other people to see it then?
If it's got private content.
Oh, what you
mean? So show-offs and stars love other people reading their stuff.
Yeah.
And people who are circumspect and introverted, and also stars, actually, they want my private attention. They don't necessarily want it in the group. But it's valuable in the group because then everybody else can see how you're getting on. But I like it for the same reason as you described, which is since I only speak to them once a month, I get a weekly temperature check of how their emotions are around their business or their work.
Yeah, and you can reach out if you need to, yeah.
Well, I always reply to all of them because I notice I noticed something. In fact, I had an email this morning from one of our listeners who's a client in faraway lands, and she said, just that one thought from you alone has given her the chance to reframe something that was scary. And I didn't really work very hard at it. It's just that one has the perspective that they don't have because they're too close.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kate said the one thing I said to her, we were talking about this puke thing. I said, what makes you want to be sick when you see your own content? She's like, I'm thinking what other people, my peers, are saying about it. And I said, well, yes, your peers are scary. They're particularly scary in the media industry, and but they aren't paying your bills, and they aren't going to pay your bills in the future. Mm-hmm. So, you've just got to try and get over the fact that
absolutely, and family and friends are never going to be our clients, are they?
But the thing is, we can't come up with these bon mots of wisdom, can we? There's a French thing there. I might have mispronounced it slightly. Anyway, you can't come up with these bits of wisdom unless you communicate with us. And that's why these to-do lists are quite useful, because, as Judith says, it helps us to see what's in your head. But if you don't do them, we can't tell, and we're not telepathic. So
and in my case, in your heart as well, because the emotion around it is either enabling or disabling.
Yes. That's interesting. I always think of my emotions in my stomach. But moving swiftly on, I think, don't you?
Yes.
What is project updates, or have you given it to me already?
No, word of the week.
Oh, yes, so it is. Oh my God. Well, my word of the week was confidence, but I've blown that out of the water now because we've been talking about it.
That's okay. I'm writing it in, confidence.
Okay.
And mine, for reasons which I think I've already explained, is questions. So questions in the book that I'm answering, questions in the cards and the quiz that I'll be asking, and I'll be able to bundle the books and cards and give them away as gifts and prizes and bonuses, and I will be fulfilled by Alison. So I've already told you most of mine already too.
Right, project updates on the old thing. We had a lovely spike last week.
Yes.
A double prong spike. So 100 downloads on the Friday, and then up to 160 plus on the Saturday. Ooh. And so the line is going in the right direction for the 3-month averages.
Okay.
Still waiting for a hockey stick, but it's coming. I can feel it.
Okay.
Who or what's impressed?
No, I haven't told you my project update.
Oh, God, sorry.
Are you trying to get out of the house or something? You're hurrying me along enormously here.
No, it's your energy and speed has infected me.
Okay, so all but one item I finished my core writing. I've done 57,000 words.
Good God, that's brilliant.
It'll be 58,000, I think, by the time we've finished. And so now me and Matt, who's the chap who's doing the cover and the internal graphics, we're focusing on how do we want the little icons to denote the question? How do we want the little box at the bottom where I give them a sort of resource? How do we want the memes? How do we want the stuff at the end? The graphic elements to make the book more exciting visually. And I'm doing all of this editing. And yesterday, one of my colleagues printed out the book for me. It's my first printout. Oh. And it reminded me of that moment in Love Actually when Colin Firth's book flies off into the pond. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that bit particularly.
Oh, he's writing in France and he's falling in love with this cleaning lady and they don't have a language in common, and he's writing in the garden and all the pages fly off the desk into the pond. Anyway, never mind. And it landed on my desk with a resounding thunk, which was quite nice. And it was the first sort of real, oh, look, there's my book separate from me on my desk. And I'm editing it on paper, which is a completely different experience from editing it digitally.
Yeah.
And I've told you about the Reedsy Publicity Tour thing, and it's all editing and titivating and thinking about the things I wouldn't let myself think about earlier. But loving it.
You're really going for it on this, aren't you? I'm amazed. I mean,
I told you at the beginning. I'd waited 15 years to work out what I wanted to write my book about, and the writing of it was the least of it. And I was going to be marketing it and making it the central plank of my business for the next 3 years, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
You're going to be marketing the knickers off it. Right.
I am.
Yes. Good. And going on tour, by the sounds of it. A signing book tour. Or is it a virtual tour? Do tell.
No. On a blog. It's a blog tour.
Oh, the blog tour, right? Oh, okay, where you go on other people's blogs. Nice one. There isn't even a bookshop in Croydon. I'd invite you down here to come and do a book signing.
To be honest, that doesn't really appeal at all. Now, we've got a little bit of delay developed here, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, but we'll crack on. Who or what's impressed?
Well, I've got two, so you go first.
Okay. Well, who or what's impressed is my client, Mark Pearson, who has, without any ado, he's a taxi driver, by the way, without any ado, he has, after me saying to him, none of those things are going to make you any money, he published his first blog post. And it took me right back to the days of yore, because do you remember when whenever we used to say to clients, just get a blog up and put your first blog post up and tell people what you're going to do? And it really, because he has no technical ability whatsoever. So he's installed WordPress. He's just gone with whatever theme was there, and he's written his first blog post. And it's Mark Pearson Online, and if .com. And if anyone could go to markpearsononline.com and give him a few words of encouragement, that would be thrilling.
That's nice. That's a nice idea.
But it did take me right back to 2006, I have to say. Go on then, far away.
Yeah, I've got a short one and a long one. I'll start with the short one. I did some 3-minute audios on a platform called Audio Boom in February 2016. And I thought I would do some more little audios to publicise the book. And so I went onto the platform and I discovered that they don't take on people like me anymore. They only take on professional broadcasters.
Oh.
Which is odd, since I know the chairman of the company. But anyway, I'll have a go at him about that next time I see him. But I discovered that for the princely sum of $9.99, which triggered a fraud alert on my HSBC business card, that I had $9.99 a month, I think it is. I had 19 audios there, which have got over 1,000 views.
Oh, good God.
Or listens, I suppose the word is. So I've been resharing them on my page because, of course, be everywhere online. They're more content, aren't they? Yeah. And I'm going to create some more. So that's quite exciting. But the big story of the week is Melody, who's the techie VA that I'm working with in America, who is nearer to 70 than I am by quite a long way. I've actually forgotten how old she said. She was 68, I think she said. Because I said, oh, God, you've no idea how old I am. She said, how old do you think I am? I have no idea. And she was about 5 years older than me, which was very impressive. I said to her yesterday, nobody's older than me, Melody. I was so impressed. But she did a really, really, really cool thing, which I will adopt immediately. And I've been encouraging my clients to adopt it immediately. And I'd like you to bear with me because it's going to take me 5 minutes to explain it.
Okay.
She is one of about 22 experts in this software platform that I'm playing with to make my Facebook page big.
Oh, yeah.
And I went on, there's a page where I was able to see all of these 22 experts. And I went on to all of their 22 Facebook pages and liked all 22 of them. And she was the only person that did this. So I've written it up. I'm going to read it out slowly. I told her that I really liked what she did when we first met on Facebook, but that I would like to be able to explain it to my clients. My memory was that I liked her Facebook page and then that I received a special personal message from her. I asked her, was it automated, although I got the sense that it was not. She replied that it was not, that she liked to do that herself, and I asked her how. And she said, what I do when someone likes my page is first I click on their name because you have that information, and I look at their profile, and from their profile, if they've set it up properly, I look for their business page because, of course, we're not friends yet.
Yeah.
So if they've done their Facebook profile properly and it links through to their Facebook page, I can usually find their Facebook page right away. That way, I can promote their business at the same time as welcoming them to my page. Now, here I go, not sure about that since she linked to my profile, but not my page. And in a minute, I'll read you the message. I asked her if she could remember what she said because I couldn't find it, erroneously believing that she had sent me some form of personal message because that's what it felt like. And actually, what she did was I'll explain that in a minute. She said, welcoming Judith Morgan, live link to my profile because you can't link to pages from pages. welcoming Judith Morgan to her business page today. Happy to have you join me here, and her smiley face icon. So she linked her business page to my personal profile. She welcomed me in a personal one-to-one way. So this is on her business page. It didn't come through via Messenger, so she's not spamming me on Messenger or anything like that, but it does link to me on her page, and that's what she regards as a win-win. And I feel special because she's the first ever person to welcome me to her business page. And I remembered it, and in the end, it's the reason why I hired her over and above the other 20 others, because because she distinguished herself by that, and she deserves to do well. So I asked her, does she always send the same message to everyone? And she said, oh, no, it varies based on the person. She said that after she looks, oh, God, computer going bonkers. After she looks at my page, there might be something there that she can relate to. She said she also goes to my page and scrolls through to see if there's something she can comment on, and perhaps she might like a post or two. And I've returned the compliment once or twice without thinking about it, just naturally enjoying her page output. But what she's doing is vetting me as a potential client. I told her it worked, and nobody had ever done it before, and I've just told my clients how to do it, and I will be doing it from here on in. Cut a long story very short. I had a freebie with her, which she then upsold to a $99 consultation, and now she's quoting for the work together. So she got all of that by welcoming me to her Facebook page with a personal message which linked to my profile, so I saw it.
Well, that is very typical of what is supposed to work on social, is the personal interaction side of things. But you've just said that she distinguished herself out of 22 other potential candidates for the job.
Yeah.
So that's where you went looking for her, was it? Because she was an expert in this software that you've started to use?
Yes. And then she was publicised on a page of about 22 others, and I liked all of their pages, and she was the only one that did this. And I think she's the only person ever to do this.
Wow, that really opens up a can of worms for people who've got thousands of likes and have never contacted any of the people who've liked their page.
But you don't need to go backwards. You just do the ones from today, and you do one or two from today that look like they might be become potential clients. So, for instance, she looked at my page. She saw that I wasn't a newbie, that I'd been established in business for 15 years, that I got loads of content, that I knew who I was. I'm her ideal client.
Yeah, got it. Well, that's really interesting. So, we'll have to try that, won't we, and report back and see what happens.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you very much. That's a wonderful session, as always, and a very high energy this week again, which is fantastic. I expect everyone's lying down in the dark room now.
See you next week, darling.
Yeah, and you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.